Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scared Shitless. This is a horror retrospective, the show where we dissect horror media like a psychopath looking to blame the movies during our court case. And that, for anyone interested, is a spoiler warning. Today we are going to be looking at Scream 3, the third movie, strangely enough, in the slasher series Scream, released in 2000. Once again, written by Kevin Williamson and directed by Wes Craven. This movie is set during the production of the fictional Stab 3, when a new killer emerges, picking off the cast of the Stab movies and the original survivors from the previous massacres.
I thought this one wasn't written by Kevin Williamson.
It was, but it was also written by someone else as well. But they were technically all at least first drafted by Kevin Williamson. How much it was changed. Yeah. This one stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, and Liev Schreiber returning as Cotton Weary. It also has Patrick Dempsey, Dion Richmond, Parker Posey in this one, and Scott Foley. So
just going back to our conversation there, they're saying Kevin Williamson is only being credited for the characters, but Aaron Kruger wrote the story. So they're just the only reason Kevin Williamson's getting credited is because it's his characters.
Yeah, he wrote the characters,
but he didn't actually write the story. Yeah,
that explains a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going,
I was like, strong start, Ryan, but I don't think he would make such a bad movie.
That's fair. Okay, so that gives your thoughts from the get-go. So yeah, I mean, instantly, this is kind of the joke of the Scream franchise, as it were. It is clearly weaker than the previous two films, considerably. But I mean, we didn't really discuss any negatives in our episodes for Scream and Scream 2. In my opinion, because they don't really have much in the way of negatives. What do you think?
Well, we scored both of them. We scored both of them pretty highly, so that would kind of match for why we weren't really putting a huge amount of negatives. I know we mentioned a couple of little things, but
now I've watched the whole franchise. I am going to re-rank them, but we'll save that for the franchise.
You're going to save that for the okay
when we discuss the franchise as a whole. But I've got, I'm new to horror movies, and I think I grossly underestimated my star rating for Scream 2.
Okay,
but we'll get to that in another episode.
Yeah, but yeah, we in general, I don't think there are many negatives for the first two films. This film, however, there's so many, and to the point where it's now. I've got to say, before anything, I'm kind of a little biased towards this film because this was the first of the Scream films I saw in the cinema. It was released in 2000. I was 13, maybe 12. Far too young to be watching Scream in the cinema. I don't know how I got there. I don't know if I snuck into a different screen. I don't know if I just passed for 18 at 12 or 13. I bloody doubt it. But either way, I was in the screen and watching this film. So it's kind of got a wee, nostalgia thing for me.
Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed watching the film.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just got a lot to hold up to, right? It's two strong films, and then followed by
this
one.
Yeah. Well, I think instead, normally we discuss the opening scene first. So let's stick with that and discuss the opening scene of this film. So in the opening scene of this film, Cotton Weary receives a phone call from what seems like a woman who's a bit flirtatious, realizes that he's a celebrity, and then it turns out to be Ghostface.
Yeah, he's totally enjoying it. He's like, hey baby, don't worry that I've got a wife at home.
And the Ghostface ends up killing Christine, who's Cotton's girlfriend, and Cotton, using a voice changer, which Ghostface always does, but this one can actually perfectly mimic other people's voices to the point
Just about
where
anybody. Yeah.
to the point where Ghostface was able to mimic Cotton's voice to Cotton's girlfriend while on the other side of the door. So now
The
this
point where he
movie,
was so confident in the voice changer's ability that he was going to leave it on the answering machine, and the police were going to take that as evidence that it wasn't him.
this movie was released
Technology
21
doesn't
years
exist.
ago, and this technology still does not exist today. So, what did you think of the opening sequence?
I am a big fan of cars driving fast, so that was good.
By the way, sorry, we never said. Normally, he's clearly up my arse on this video. I'm Ryan, and I'm joined by Al.
Yep. Hello.
And Jamie.
Hello again.
And you were saying, Jamie.
I was saying I do enjoy cars driving fast, and we got to see some of that. We used to do an action movie podcast, but that no longer exists. So I do like the occasional action scene when that comes along, even if it is just fast cars. But I mean, the kills, I didn't really care. He was an arsehole producer. I cared more about his girlfriend getting killed, but him, meh.
What about you, Al? Did you care about Cotton Weary?
Scream 1 and 2, I did care that the people got killed.
Okay.
I never liked him, so no, I was quite happy that he died. To be perfectly honest.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. There's something about Liv Schreiber that just I always think he should always be the bad guy, and I just don't trust him in anything.
Definitely didn't have the same weight as the opening to Scream 1 or Scream 2. I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say in general, even though Cotton has been in it since the first film, he had a very minor role in the first film, only a couple of scenes, and I don't think he even had any lines. He was just kind of in the background. At least if he did have lines, none of them come to mind, and it would have just been on the TV at the time. Scream 2, he has a slightly bigger role, but still didn't really care that much. And I mean, I don't really care that he died.
I did like that he did what was his show about?
100% Cotton. It was a talk show they gave him.
Like victims of crimes, and he introduced them to other people, stuff like that. It was like, this would totally be something he'd be like, oh, get them on the show. Yeah. And I was like, take that, you fucking cunt.
But yeah, I definitely don't think it holds the weight of the opening of either of its predecessors. And the kills themselves were, I mean, Cotton's girlfriend Christine got stabbed in the back, and Cotton gets
stabbed in the head.
Stabbed once in the body and then in the head to end it. Yeah.
It's got to be a big feature of this film's. Like, I looked why the kills weren't as like
graphic,
dramatic or graphic, and apparently there was a big thing with the censoring agency in America at the time because there was a string of sort of violent murders, and they were trying to downplay, and they did that in the movie as a result, sort of public.
Yeah, they really downplayed the violence in this one and upped the comedy. Now, the previous two films were, they had a lot of humor in them. They were quite tongue-in-cheek. They were quite meta, but they weren't comedies. Where it actually goes far to say Scream 3 is leaning almost more into comedy than it is to horror. To the point where Jay and Silent Bob make a cameo at one point.
I like that.
You like that?
That was funny.
It just felt out of place.
The movie studio, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean that would feel perfectly in place in a scary movie.
Yeah.
But
because did they not mistake Gail Weathers for Connie Chung?
I can't remember.
They mistake her for somebody anyway.
Yeah. But either way, I feel it doesn't. I feel it shouldn't be in a Scream film. I feel it almost makes a joke of the the Scream film. But anyway, we're kind of on to, from talking about the opening sequence, we're on to the cons of this film. So I'd say the voice changer for starters, because again, we're 21 years on. This technology still doesn't exist, and it does create cheap and easy ways to get cast members to do stuff. Like at the end, they get Dewey and Gale to show up at this party by phoning and pretending that the killer was Sydney and saying, "I'm going to this party." And it keeps happening where people keep getting called, and it's not the person they think they're talking to. And it happens to the second death in the movie. The actress who's Sarah was her name. She thinks she's on the phone to Roman, the producer. Spoiler alert, turns out she was on the phone to Roman, the producer, but you weren't supposed to know this. And, he kills her. That's like another point where they lean quite a bit into the comedy, because she ends up trying to defend herself and it ends up with all the props. And she's like hitting them with like the fake things, and they're bending.
It's the big wobbly sword and everything that she keeps hitting him with.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on.
And she gets stabbed, quite bloodlessly stabbed, pushed through a window and stabbed was how she went. But again, leaned a lot into the comedy. And then the kill after that, the security guard,
Stephen Stone.
Yes. He once again thought he was on the phone to Dewey. So again, this voice changer plays into like so many different kills in this film. And I feel the first two films are so well rooted in reality, like it could happen. These guys are phoning you, they're killing you. And the voice changer technology they use in those films does exist. It did exist in the 90s.
Yeah.
That security guard.
You are.
That security guard guy, the Hollywood security dude.
Yeah.
That was protecting. Every time he spoke, I was just like, is that Joe Swanson?
It is Joe Swanson. It is.
And I just cannot. I'm like, nah. I just can't take it seriously when I see like an animated cartoon voice actor in a real movie. I just see Joe Swanson every time I look at the guy.
I quite like him. I've seen him in a few things, and he was a dick in this film.
Yeah,
like really was. He was on the phone to Dewey, or I mean, he wasn't, but he thought he was, and he says, "Oh, I'm just making sure no one gets stabbed like your sister," or whatever. And it's like, what a dick thing to say. So when Ghostface came out and killed him, I was kind of like, well, you kind of had that coming. I liked Tatum in the first film. I don't fucking like you. So that's Anyway, got distracted there. I was busy complaining about this voice changer. So that's an issue for me. Another issue in this film is characters just make stupid decisions to the point where I felt it was unrealistic. So, for example, at the party at the end, they keep separating. They just keep doing it to the point when there's only Gale and Dewey left. And Dewey's like, "You wait here." What? You know there's a killer.
Every time there's a killer, they always choose to go upstairs or into the basement.
Yeah.
And they always choose to split up. And it's like, motherfucker. It's like you're in a house with locked doors, and it's like, I'm going to open the front door and have a look outside.
Yeah.
So, that'll go well.
They make these stupid decisions to the point where it's like Scream 3 has actually become the movie that Scream and Scream 2 were taking the piss out of. Like, they joke about in the previous film. Sydney says in the first one, some big-breasted bimbo's running up the stairs when she should be out the front door. And that's what they're doing in this film. Now, they do it in the first two as well, but they do it where it kind of makes natural sense and it doesn't feel like a piss take. Whereas in this one, you're like, are you serious? Like, come on, you're just begging to get stabbed. At least that was my opinion of every decision every character made in this movie.
Especially because they've been through this, the main characters, especially, they've been through this twice before. They know the drill by now.
Yeah. Or at least
Why are they not all like
should.
standing? Why are they not all standing back to back with like a triangle, like fucking guns out? It wouldn't make a very good movie. That's why.
It would be a very short killing spree. That's why.
Yeah, it'd be a very short killing spree. Yeah.
Turns out even Roman, who's the Ghostface in this movie, makes the stupid decisions though, to the point where he's got Gale and Dewey, and he keeps them alive instead of killing them because he needs them to draw Sydney to the party. Except he doesn't, because he's got a fucking voice changer with everyone's voice. Why are they still alive? It's actually quite infuriating. I could literally just rant about this fucking voice changer for the entire episode. So what do you think? Let's talk about Roman. Well, Al, what do you think of Roman as a Ghostface?
I just have the same problem as you do. It's like as a Ghostface, it's just he kills everyone, and essentially he kills everyone in the same way. He lures them out with the magic voice changer, and then gets them separated from the group and kills them one at a time. But it's like okay, yeah, he maybe kills them differently. You've got like one person getting blown up. You've got people getting stabbed in the stomach, their throat slit, and stuff like that. But essentially, nearly everyone happens because he says, "Come here," in a different voice, and they do.
And then
so it's just it's just not imaginative.
You know, I keep thinking, I'm like, oh, what about this? That'll save me. I'm like, no, that's Scream 4, so that's not.
the only we've got a couple of original deaths in this. So Tom Prince gets blown up.
Neve Campbell was great though.
Neve Campbell was great.
Yeah, so that saves it. And there was another person that I liked. I can't remember his name.
As I was saying, Tom Prince gets blown up in this film, so that's a bit different. You know, it's a slightly different death.
It was
even though
the gas is on.
Shit.
But how long doesn't gas explode immediately? Like, how long did that take? Like it had enough time. He had enough time to read the. I thought it was like boom.
The whole lead up to everyone running in and out again. It's because characters make stupid, unrealistic decisions. You know, realistically, they would have stuck together. They would have got the fuck out of there. Who cares what the next page of his bullshit script says?
I'm going to stay and wait and read the last page of this script coming out the fax machine.
But Tom Prince, aka Fake Dewey, gets blown up. Tyson Fox, aka
stabbed in the neck with a broken bottle.
Black Randy, he got thrown off a balcony. He got flipped
after getting stabbed in the neck.
Yes, then thrown. But other than that, everyone got.
Because we've had thrown off a building. We've had thrown off a building before.
Yeah, and little what's her name? Fake Gale as well.
Jennifer, Fake Gale got stabbed in the gut, from what I could tell. And John Milton, who was the rapey producer.
He got his throat slit, didn't he?
Yes. So there were 10 deaths in this movie, 9 of whom were killed by Ghostface, and 1 was Ghostface.
The first one with only one Ghostface.
Yes, yeah.
The unbeatable Ghostface.
The unbeatable, yeah. And turns out Ghostface in this one was kind of a bit
wearing
whiny.
Body armor.
He was wearing body armor, yeah.
Which, come on, how long has Dewey been a cop? After unloading a full clip into the guy, he's like, oh, wait, he's wearing body armor? No, it's Sidney Prescott. It's like, shoot him in the fucking end.
Yes. So
never mind.
It was also the second time that he's unloaded an entire firearm into him, because he did it when he rolled under the car as well, and he's still not fucking clicked that the guy, shooting him in the body doesn't fucking work. So
one other plot hole.
He's really not effective as a cop, is he?
No.
Yeah, he could be better.
It's a bit worrying he gets promoted.
Another plot hole that's
spoilers for Scream 4
apparent in this film.
Yeah.
Gale checks Roman's pulse. She finds his body. He's been stabbed in the gut. Right, okay. I could buy her finding his body with a knife wound and being like, he's fucking dead. But she checks his pulse. What? Is he dead or is I mean that's again.
Maybe she's just incompetent.
That's possible, but we've seen in the previous two movies she's not incompetent. You know, she's not incompetent.
Or maybe she just lacks any medical knowledge.
I mean, possibly. I mean, she knew.
Maybe it was
check his
just
pulse.
written by shit screenwriters.
I don't even know why I'm defending the film. I'm just gonna stop.
So, however,
I mean,
positives for the film because I did enjoy it more than it sounds.
One more thing, the reveal. I was like, the brother. Oh, the what? Like, the mother had like
the long lost half brother.
Yeah, we're going to invent some crazy backstory about Sidney Prescott's mum, which we only care about because it's a catalyst to learn more about Sidney Prescott, not because we care about that character. But yet we get a whole movie about her story, and then there's like this.
Also care about because it's what drove Billy to do it, and that's
Yeah, but what's his name was pulling his strings, no?
Yeah, Roman.
And that was
pointed
I was like,
Billy at, which is a shame because I was quite happy with them killing Maureen Prescott because she was flashing her shit all over town like she was Sharon Stone or something. And let's face it, she was no Sharon Stone, and that was good enough. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't need to like sort of put extra strings onto change the storyline of an already great movie.
Yeah.
Don't just come up with something new. Don't try and say you were pulling the strings all along, because that's just crap.
Yeah, I agree. But like I did actually enjoy this movie far more than it sounds like I enjoyed this movie. Like I say, it's the first one I saw in the cinema. I have a certain nostalgia for it in general. I still have fun watching it despite all the plot holes. I still will happily sit and watch it. If I'm watching the Scream franchise, yes, this is the weakest one. Yes, I know it's the weakest one when I'm watching it, but I still have a good time watching it. And as you said, Neve Campbell's performance is fantastic, and it's always fantastic. And I really...
She's not in more of the film.
Yeah. Apparently they didn't have much time to actually shoot with her for this film. So they just had to keep her off set for a huge part of it. And they only had... I don't know how many, like a week or whatever, to actually get her scenes done. But I do like that we kind of saw it, and after the events of the second film, where Mickey has properly got in her head and fucked with her and made her suspect her boyfriend, who was actually innocent, and then killed him in front of her. She's a bit, she's a bit uncomfortable around people now.
Well, she's essentially a hermit living in the mountains somewhere, no?
She is, but her job is answering phones. You'd think after the amount of shit she's been through with phones, she would be avoiding that, But,
of all the jobs to have, answering phones is just like, yeah.
Yeah, nah, it's not what I'd be going for personally. But Neve Campbell is fantastic as Sidney Prescott again. And I do like seeing that she's kind of got PTSD at the start of this, to the point where she's like you say, a hermit, and then she's kind of better by the end of it. That is like the one thing I will give this movie, like the one actual positive. The rest of it, I mean, realistically, fuck the rest of it. So what do you think?
I totally thought it was got to be the detective. By the way, that creepy detective who's like,
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah. I mean,
he was fucking annoying.
He was the guy that I was going to say did a great job as well.
Okay.
As well as Neve Campbell, I thought he was brilliant as a creepy homicide detective. But it wasn't him.
He's quite a good red herring.
Yeah. They really leaned into that in this one a bit more than they did in the previous fills. They were a bit more like, let's try and make let's make everyone.
Yeah, they're pushing you towards someone.
In the
even though it was so much so that you're like, can't be.
Yeah,
they're making it too obvious that it's him.
Yeah.
It's totally not going to be the guy who's got a whole wall of Sidney Prescott.
Sydney,
Well, what would you think? Are there any other positives from this film, or any negatives that we've left out? Anything in general, good or bad?
I mean, just reiterating, Cotton Weary getting stabbed in the head was a positive for me.
Okay, well, let's get to that part. What was your?
I don't think I have a favorite kill for the movie.
Okay.
I think we were all a bit
Yeah, they were all a bit meh. Realistically,
I did like Ghostface getting shot in the head after the unloading of the clip, which was completely ineffectual. That was pretty like shoot him in the head, boom. That was all right.
I think if I had to, I will pick a favorite kill.
Or the exploded guy. Yeah, the exploded guy is my favorite.
Fair enough. I wouldn't choose that just because of the amount of convoluted bullshit that had to happen for that kill to happen.
I choose it because I like big ass explosions.
I would go for John Milton getting his throat slit. And the reason I would choose that is because that fucker is the one person in this film who probably deserved it. He was a rapey bastard. And he's the one person when Roman killed him was like, yep, he probably had it coming.
Yeah, the guy who like the Hollywood one. Yeah.
So I think I would choose him. And you're saying Cotton Weary, are you, Al?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The most satisfying kill is probably John Milton, but yeah, I just don't like Cotton Weary, so I was really happy to see him get killed. So yeah, I'll stick with that for my favourite kill.
Okay, fair. And Jamie, you're going Tom Prince, aka Fake Dewey.
AKA guy that died in big ass explosion.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's the only reason. I don't care about the build up, just boom.
Okay, well, Jamie, seeing as
Jamie likes big boom.
Big boom.
How many
I told
stabs
Brian
out
when
of
we were
5
doing the action podcast, I was like, let's watch something with explosions and guns.
You did. How many stabs would you give this movie out of 5, Jamie?
2.5.
2.5. Okay. Al?
Maybe 2.
Yeah, no, same. It's enjoyable enough, but there's nothing particularly good, and the few things that we've talked about are really fucking annoying. So 2.5.
Okay, I actually agree at 2.5 as well. Like I say, I can watch this film. I even enjoy watching this film, but it is by no means a good film. And the more you think about this film, the worse this film gets.
Yeah.
I will say this though: if I'll watch the Scream franchise again at some point. I won't be skipping the movie. I'll definitely watch the movie.
No, well, like I say, it's definitely enjoyable. But it is, it is glaringly obvious that it is the worst. And yeah, there's. I would go as far to say that if it wasn't for Neve Campbell's performance in this film, it probably would be worth skipping. But she's fantastic as Sidney Prescott, as always. She's a fucking badass. So definitely worth it in the end. But right, that's it from us this week. Join us next week where we will be discussing the final film in the Scream franchise to date, Scream 4. You can find Harry Potter themed content from Jamie over at Potter Nerd on YouTube. Link will be in the description. You can find stuff from Al and myself right here because we're not anywhere else. And let us know in the comments what you thought of Scream 3 and if you were scared shitless. And like any good horror villains, we will be back for one last scare.